Welcome to Wonderful Wednesdays. We have Cheryl Thiede, a UUC member, and she's a longtime advocate for women's rights and health justice. And Cheryl, I wanted to just have you on to have you talk a little bit about what you're doing now and some of the things that you find particularly important, especially during this time of COVID, as we say over and over again.
Thanks for having me, Julie. So I'm active in a lot of different areas, but the main two, one is my work life. I work at Vivent Health, which is an HIV/AIDS organization. Used to be AIDS Resource Center of Wisconsin, ARCW, but we now are located in 4 states. So we changed our name to Vivent Health. So I work in HIV and AIDS, mainly in social services, and helping to bring our integrated care model to our new facilities around the country. And then in my volunteer time, I spend a lot of that in working in reproductive rights and reproductive justice. And I lead an organization called the Options Fund, which connects rights to resources, and we provide financial assistance to women seeking safe and legal abortion. So lots of other areas of interest and care and compassion from me, but those are my main two.
When you were a small Cheryl and you thought about what was important, were you really drawn to the helping fields when you were younger, or did you kind of discover that as you got into the workplace?
Yeah, that's interesting. Well, when I was a kid, I wanted to be the bionic woman, which maybe
Well,
me.
that's probably true.
So that's a helping profession, right? But
Right.
that didn't come true. So I would say it was college and getting out into the world a bit more, both geographically and through learning, where I realized all of the things happening in the world and that I wanted to be a part of fixing things and making things better for people. So that's really when my social justice awakening started.
So Cheryl, in college, we're often exposed to, different ideas and things like that. What was it that made you choose your field of study, or does your field of study in college relate to what you're doing now?
I think it absolutely relates. So I was a psychology major and a sociology minor, which I really saw as the perfect balance of the individual and the world and their impact on each other. And I've spent my entire career working in nonprofit social services. And so I definitely see that playing out. So it has served me well. In hindsight, I think if I would have known more about social work, that probably would have been the right path, but no regrets. I'm happy with what I chose.
What do you think in this time of pandemic and where it's hard for people to connect, that are the greatest challenges, particularly for your work with people affected by HIV?
Yeah, it's been tough as an agency to try to continue to provide our services when we can't see people the same way. We are a healthcare provider in Wisconsin. We're the largest provider of HIV healthcare, and that has continued. So we have limited it. We try to expand slowly to seeing people, but we really do want to continue to meet the medical care needs. All of the other services we've continued to adapt as we go. Lots of tele connection, so connecting to people not just through the phone, but through Skype or Teams or Facebook Live, whatever we can do for social work staff, for people to see people face to face, much more meaningful in a room with someone, but we'll take what we can get, and it's better than a phone call. For many people living with HIV, isolation is an issue. Isolation about their disease. There are usually very few people in someone's life who knows their HIV status. So they might be well connected in other ways. We're often the resource for them, the place where it's a safe space to talk about what they're dealing with. And so we don't want to lose that. It's really an important connection, and the connection to a social worker, to a prevention specialist who diagnoses you, whatever the case may be. Staying connected is really important to staying in care and staying on medications and having the best outcome for health and life through all of that. So it's been tough. We we do a lot of our work virtually with each other and with clients, and just try to keep it going for as long as we need to. But it's absolutely a challenge, and I have no doubt that we're losing people to our care right now because there's so many challenges to navigate.
I wonder if you're able to do, I know I often hear about, you're going to this place or that place to do testing. Are you able to go into as many places to do testing with COVID?
Yeah, for the most part, we're not doing any outreach testing at this time. We are now testing in our offices again. There was a time where we weren't doing those kinds of one-on-ones, but now we, as much as possible, mitigating risk, are bringing people in. So our clean needle exchange program is open, testing is open, absolutely phone education is available always. So while our offices may not be staffed at 100%, people are working at 100% every day, and you can always connect. But we've had to really postpone a lot of things that we normally would do to try to reach people.
Is there any sort of blessing that you can see coming out of this time as far as that teleconnections, or has it just been hard? I mean, is it?
Yeah, I think for clients and patients and people seeking services, it's just hard. I can't see a way around that. For staff, I think that there are some blessings within for me. I've been able to travel a little bit less and spend more time at home and connect with people virtually. And for the most part, I can do my job sitting here in my home. And so I think it's helped us innovate how we connect with our staff. Right now, I'm spending a lot of time, most of my time, with our staff in Austin, Texas. And while I would have been there in person a few times through the summer, it's really helped us engage to be able to see each other and use virtual platforms and have presentations and meetings and trainings. And to have that elevated because of COVID, we're able to do that better on a day-to-day basis when I'm not there. So technology has really come a long way, I think, for all of us. We've all become fairly proficient at all of this when it cooperates, right? But that's been a good thing.
Well, what do you think as far as, your values, the inherent worth and dignity of every person, all those things that, we talk about in the Unitarian Universalist realm, how does that translate to being an advocate? And I mean, it sounds like you do a number of roles of advocacy.
Yeah, I'm so glad that I found the Unitarian because it really matches what I care about and my passions and compassion so well. And I have to tell you a little side story, Julie. I recently did the Clifton Strengths assessment, which is about your top 5 strengths. And you don't worry about your things that are your weaknesses. You just learn about your strengths and how to build on them. And I was rereading them the other day because my whole department took the assessment and we're learning how to lean on each other's strengths. And my strengths match the UU principles amazingly well. So I'll give you a couple examples. I wrote them down so I could say it. So my number 1 strength is connectedness, and another is responsibility. Those are in my top 5. And that connects so well to the interdependent web of existence, caring about the world, knowing that we're all connected, that we can impact the world and make a difference. That is so clear to me. And then another for me was learner and the search for truth and meaning principle. So it's so interesting how learning about my strengths in the work world really are a match for my values and the UU principles and how I've really lived my life. So that was really affirming to know that what I'm spending my time on, what I care about, where I'm putting my dollars and my time really are living my values.
Yeah, I mean, we're complete people, and I think that's really powerful that you can do that, and I think that probably comes across. I know that when I've seen you talk about the things you care about, it does come across. And um, I'm wondering, as far as access, you talked about the options fund. Uh,
Mhm.
is there Obviously there's a lot of challenges to any kind of healthcare. Is there anything on that front that you would say has become more connected because of the internet? I just wonder about people's um, connections to services.
Yeah, overall, we absolutely are seeing the effect of the epidemic on that work. We are getting more calls than ever. Women seeking our help, certainly job loss, unemployment, underemployment, loss of insurance has affected women's financial ability to access the choice they want. Clinics have had to reduce hours because staff are quarantined. They had to really adapt quickly to physical distancing in the spaces, buy lots of personal protective equipment, which was costly. Clinics were closed for a little while, some of them, and women who had appointments during that time, not all of them rescheduled. So not sure, what happened along the way, but this is just like we know this epidemic, this pandemic is affecting every person in all sorts of ways. It's really affecting women in this area, and women who, are already disproportionately affected by social determinants of health and trying to keep families and finances together. So it's a challenge for everybody in all sorts of ways. We've really seen it in that way.
What are the things that give you hope right now? And that's kind of a hard question after hearing that, but I'm curious, what is it that kind of lifts you when you're doing this work and trying to be helpful?
Well, I think that first I always have to have hope because it you can't I can't go without it. So I get discouraged once in a while, but I have friends and family who pull me back up. I see how hard people are fighting right now. I see people volunteering, giving money. We have to keep going, one foot in front of the other, and do everything we can to fight inequality and injustice. And I'm encouraged by more people than ever doing that, young people doing that. We have to look to the next generation to carry on the torch, and I'm seeing that. So, I think we lean on each other. I have lots of friends who are compassionate, amazing people, family that are there for me, who give me hope and listen when I'm down and encourage me to keep going. There's you and the congregation, and having that connection, even though it's all virtual right now, makes a difference.
Good, good. Yeah, I think it's very interesting to see this liminal place where we live, where we know there's so much that needs our help in the world, but we have to nurture ourselves and, getting outdoors and doing the
Mm-hmm.
things that feed our spirit seems that we have to fill the well. And it's neat that your company is focusing on this inventory. Is this the idea of trying to do do that sort of support, inner support of staff, or?
Mm-hmm. Yes, absolutely. Yeah, my organization, I've worked there for 21 years and feel really lucky that I've been continued to feel satisfaction and like I am living my values, and also that they're really good to staff. And we had a champion, we call ourselves champions, not employees or staff. So we had a champion holiday on May 1st just to recognize how hard everybody was working, and we all got a bonus day off. And really, our agency has really dived into diversity, equity, and inclusion, and our CEO is spending a lot of time devoted to staff training. So we have all staff meetings multiple times a month, and we've had speakers on drug enforcement policy, on racial injustice, history of race and systemic racism. So it's a great place to live my values and earn a living at it. And I feel really lucky that they care about the staff so much.
What's some advice that you would give to a young a young person right now, kind of wanting to get out into the world and live their values? What would you tell them?
Yeah, from my experience volunteering, just following your passion and find a place to volunteer. Volunteering is hard right now. Not everyone is accepting volunteers, but that's what got my foot in the door at my first employer, which was Planned Parenthood out of college. I volunteered there during senior year because I wanted to learn more about what they did and how they were helping women and families. So getting out there and volunteering really gives you a better picture of the need in your community, and also makes great connections, which you can either continue to volunteer there in other places or find a career out of the organizations that you connect with. So get out and give your time. Not everybody has the money to, write a check and support an organization, but most people can give a little bit of time, and there's lots of ways to do that. So I think that's, for me, that's what worked, and I think that can work for a lot of people.
Are there volunteer opportunities with your work or with any of the other agencies that you work with on a
Mhm.
volunteer
Yeah,
basis?
so at Vivent Health, a main one right now, we are utilizing volunteers in our food pantries.
Okay.
So in Wisconsin, we have 10 offices around the state, including here in Eau Claire, and we have food pantries for our clients living with HIV and their families. And we have volunteers that help us stock shelves and bag orders. And right now we are doing pre-bagged orders. So it's really helpful to have people come in and do that. Normally our prevention department doing HIV education, outreach testing, clean needle exchange in the office, those are things normally you can volunteer with. Right now that's put on hold, but will come back someday. So there are a number of ways to volunteer there. And then at Options Fund, we are an all volunteer organization. So we were founded in 1992 and have always been volunteer run. We have about 20 volunteers who are trained to answer the phone and help women and pledge money for them to the clinics. So we're always looking for volunteers there. And if you don't want to do phone intake, helping with fundraising, writing letters, other things like that are also available.
Well, any last thoughts on just the connection of spirit and work? I think of just getting through a work day when you, I mean, with these things that we get the news and we get the there's got to be something in your body or in your spirit that keeps you moving. What are some of those things that keep Cheryl Thiede going?
Baking is my therapy. So I bake for fun. And I also bake at Lunchbox EC, which is where my sister is a chef. And so that keeps me going. And whether I'm baking, like earlier today, I made some homemade sourdough crepe. So that was really enjoyable. But when I'm not baking, I'm thinking about what I'm going to bake next at Lunchbox and thinking about the season and how to use what's fresh. So that's energizing for me. Being outside. We were talking earlier before you recorded about I kayaked yesterday at Bernay Island and how beautiful that was. So nature, laughter, friends, family, books, music, food, it all keeps me going. But know that, and just knowing that I'm making a difference, that I am living my values, that I'm fighting injustice and inequality, that I'm out there in a lot of different ways trying to do my part to make the world better, that feeds me too.
Yeah, I think a lot of people felt a lot of despair when Ruth Bader Ginsburg died recently, and I think at first I thought one more thing in 2020, and just the whole social media blew up, and she was such a champion, and it seemed that, I don't know, for me it became a straw factor. And then but then I thought about, well, what would RBG do? I think that should be the new bumper sticker, right?
Right.
And
I like.
yeah. And she really, like the words you just said, she said, lead in a way that others will follow you. And my mother taught me that ladies are independent,
Right.
which is great. But yeah, it's powerful to claim your truth and to live your life in a way with integrity. So,
Right.
yay. Well, thanks for being with us on our wonderful Wednesday. And I hope that you find those moments of joy. And if you didn't know, Cheryl makes the best hummus in the universe and also really good baked goods. But anyway, I hope you find those moments of joy and connection.
Agree. Thank you, Julie.